Hi. So I'm an educator with the citizen science group called Zooniverse that has created this project you guys are checking out. Yeah, you have to really concentrate on how that animal looks to figure out what type of animal it is. And we try to give you guys some help with our descriptions and having those example pictures for each of the animals to really help you know that, yes, that has to be that type of animal.
Okay, Laura, can you explain what Chicago Wildlife Watch is?
So Chicago Wildlife Watch is a citizen science project. We build a collection of them here at the Adler Planetarium. We essentially take a large data set, we put it online, and we ask members of the public to help us analyse it. And in the case of Chicago Wildlife Watch, we're asking people to identify urban wildlife.
How is this project different and similar to other citizen science projects that Zooniverse and the Adler are doing?
So there are a lot of similarities with other projects that we've done in the past. The technology is all the same, the techniques that we use to kind of build the websites and also kind of build tutorials, simplify things and make it very easy for members of the public to participate all overlap. But the major difference for us here is that we have a very large international online community, and this time we actually get to work with Chicago. And that means a lot to us being here at the Adler Planetarium. We finally have an opportunity to work with the local community and get them to get involved with citizen science.
How important is the collaboration between the Adler and Lincoln Park Zoo in achieving the goals of this project?
Okay, so the collaboration between Lincoln Park Zoo and the Adler Planetarium is absolutely crucial for achieving the goals of this project. We wouldn't be able to we have the expertise, they have the data, they have the science expertise, we have the citizen science expertise. So bringing those two kind of sets of experts together, we've been able to create this excellent citizen science project that we can use to engage the public of Chicago with urban wildlife and with citizen science.
Can anyone use Chicago Wildlife Watch?
So can anybody use Chicago Wildlife Watch? Absolutely. The idea, we work very hard to make the websites as accessible as possible. You don't need to have any expertise or any previous knowledge of urban wildlife. Actually, I was very surprised at the different types of wildlife that live in Chicago. You just need to go online. We have a very sort of simple filtering system that will help even a beginner be able to kind of navigate through and make the right classification choices.
How will the Chicago Wildlife Watch end results be used?
The end results from the Chicago Wildlife Watch will be given back to our collaborators at Lincoln Park Zoo. The science team there will take the kind of large data set that the volunteers on the project produce, and they'll turn it into scientific results that they will then go on and publish.
Will the Chicago Focus project have implications for researchers and urban planners worldwide?
I think that what we're doing here is we're demonstrating a very interesting technique. We're showing that you can work with the public to increase your knowledge of the urban wildlife that surrounds them. And I think this is very powerful, and I believe that if we can demonstrate, and I believe that we will demonstrate, that this technique works and that the science team can produce scientifically valid results by working with the public as collaborators, that we'll have brought something very exciting to the kind of urban planning community, a new method for achieving their scientific goals.
What is Chicago Wildlife Watch?
Chicago Wildlife Watch is a citizen science project developed between the Adler Planetarium and the Lincoln Park Zoo. It's going to help us at the Urban Wildlife Institute with our network of data that we have. We actually have the world's largest collection of urban wildlife data, and the problem is that the data are coming in so quickly we can't even process them, so we need help. And we're looking to the people in Chicago to help us understand these data.
So what has led up to this project, this collaboration?
As I said, we collected all of these data. We weren't really sure how to handle them, and then fortunately we discovered Zooniverse, which is this fantastic citizen science project that the Adler houses here, and we thought that really could be a resource that we could use to help us to connect to the community in a much more powerful way than we've been able to do before.
Why is mapping Chicago's biodiversity so important?
As urban areas continue to expand all around the world, more and more wildlife make urban areas their home. But unfortunately, we don't often have the scientific information we need to understand how do we live with those species? How can we coexist with them in cities? So that's why we're collecting these data, and that's what Chicago Wildlife Watch is going to help us to understand.
So, why is this collaboration important? How is it going to help you achieve your goals?
So our database has over 1 million photographs of urban wildlife. It's the largest repository of such data anywhere in the world. But it's very difficult for us, for our staff, to wrap our heads around those kinds of data. So with help from the public to be able to understand which animals are in which photos, that lets us focus on questions like, what neighborhoods have the most raccoons? Why do they get into people's garbage? What may cause someone's pet to be attacked by an animal, right? Once we have answers to those questions, we can change the way we build Chicago. We can change the way cities around the world build green space to ensure that people and animals can live together.
And I think you already answered this, but maybe just one more time, is like, how will Chicago Wildlife Watch end results be used?
Yeah, Chicago Wildlife Watch is going to generate data for us that we will use directly to come up with new models, new methods, ways to conserve and manage species all around the city. So it's going to be unbelievably valuable.
Will this Chicago-focused project have implications for researchers and urban planners worldwide?
Yes, absolutely. Every city all around the world has urban wildlife. They may have different species. In Colorado, it might be prairie dogs. In California, it might be mountain lions. But every city has wildlife, and that means that every city is trying to find a way for people and wildlife to share that space. We want to make sure that Chicago becomes a leader, that we're creating a system that other cities all around the world can look to and follow when they're trying to come up with their own methods to conserve wildlife.
And what is your biggest question that you feel Chicago Wildlife Watch may help answer?
Wow, my biggest single question that Chicago Wildlife Watch can help answer. I think it has to do with not just how do all of these animals interact with each other and interact with their environment, how do they interact with us? How is it that what we do affects what animals do? Chicago Wildlife Watch is going to give us the massive database that we need, all these different species, all these different people moving around this landscape, to understand how it is that this entire ecosystem works together.
And one more question is, how many species have you recorded so far? And can you give me some examples of some of the wildlife that's living right here in Chicago?
Sure, we've detected more than 50 species in this study and are over 1 million images. Some of the more common species are things you might expect, things like squirrels, coyotes, even raccoons and opossums, but we also detect rare species, things like beavers and mink and flying squirrels. So you might really be surprised, and I'm really hoping people will learn a lot about their urban environment by being part of this project.
My name's Michael Squarey. I'm 10 years old and I go to the lab school. It's good. I like how there are lots of animal options to pick from that you wouldn't even think are in Chicago. Like coyotes, muskrats, opossums, some really cool animals. I think it is important to know what animals are in Chicago so then, for example, if you see an animal, maybe you can tell your friends or whatever, oh look, that's a muskrat or whatever. I think I'll look at my backyard a lot differently because, well, now I know that there are a lot more animals in that one yard and all of the other yards in Chicago. I think it's cool because I'd like to be a scientist one day, and it's really fun. Well, I like science a lot because it has to do with animals and about the earth where we live, and I just think it's really interesting in what these people do, what scientists do. Well, I think it's cool for normal people to help in science because it's a good thing to do and it helps our environment.
Can you say your name, your age, and what school you go to?
My name is Katya Sabo-Bosick, and I go to Pritzker, and I am almost 9. I like it because there are lots of different animals, and I really like animals. I think nature is everywhere because there are lots of, if you think about it, there are actually lots of parks everywhere, and lots of, even in the city. Parks aren't only, and nature isn't only in the suburbs. Well, I like animals a lot because I think they're really interesting and really, I I just think they're like really interesting to study about and stuff. I think I want to be like a vet and a scientist, and like I want to be like lots of different things, but lots of them will include animals. I like to see the animals, and I like guessing. Sometimes it was fun like guessing the different animals and like which ones they were and stuff. Well, I think the opossum surprised me a little bit, and the red, I think it was a wolf, maybe a fox, and yeah, that sort of surprised me. Lots of the time when you think about like foxes and opossums and like animals like that, you think about them like in the forest and like in different like parks and stuff.